United States government while condemning Washington's imposition of trade sanctions against the peoples of the world. During his broadcast, Con Maduro Más, President Maduro described the new tariff policies implemented by Donald Trump's administration as an economic nuclear war, emphasizing that the United States is also generating damage to its economy. The head of state informed that he will declare this Tuesday a national economic emergency in order to address the disturbances caused by the U.S. measures. The president also condemned the beginning of a media campaign about an escalation of criminality in the country after the return of Venezuelan migrants and the false flag operation coordinated between ExxonMobil executives and Guyanese authorities to simulate an attack against Venezuelan oil installations in the disputed area in view of the proximity of the CELAC summit. And under the slogan United for the Great Homeland, Honduras welcomes the leaders who will participate in the upcoming 9th Summit, Community of Latin American and Caribbean States. The 9th CELAC Summit will be held next April 9th at the Central Bank of Honduras building in Tegucigalpa, with the participation of at least 12 leaders and other representatives of the 33 member countries of the community. In this regard, at least 5,000 members of the National Police Force and 2,000 members of the Armed Forces will guarantee order, mobility, and protection of citizens and foreign guests at the summit. It should be noted that during the summit, the Honduran presidency, Xiomara Castro, will hand over the pro tempore presidency of CELAC to her Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro. And the Peace Congress was held in Colombia, a space in which social organizations analyze the political scenarios in the face of the armed conflict. Our correspondent Hernán Tobar has the details.
En el departamento de Nariño, al suroccidente colombiano.
In the department of southwest of Colombia, the so-called dissidents of the ELN, Camineros del Sur, delivered 585 units of war material in a public event headed by President Gustavo Petro.
Hace 2 años estuvimos en Cartagena.
2 years ago, we were in Cartagena with Álvaro Jiménez to ask you for permission to speak at the time with the ELN's Comunero Front. They want to tell us and the country that they wanted a peace process. You told us that yes, we understood the request, but we will try to do our best to ensure that it will not mean a break in the talks with the ELN, and that meant that from then on we began to work within that process.
Que ahí en adelante empezamos a trabajar dentro de ese proceso.
Esta estructura cuenta con alrededor de 300 hombres.
This structure has around 300 men who separated from the ELN and began a process of rapprochement and dialogue with the Colombian government. The parties agreed in this process to cease fire once this front is concentrated in the temporary location zones, located in the municipalities of Samaniego and Gauchaves in the department of Nariño. For analysts, this activity represents a glimmer of hope in the face of questions about the total peace that has not yielded the expected results.
Es un hecho pequeño.
It is a small fact, but it must be considered with transcendence, with importance in a period when total peace is going through a very judicious review of different sectors. Let us hope that with this factor review of all the processes that exist, of all the boards that exist,
se haga revisión de todos los procesos que hay, de todos los tableros que hay, y se pueda
can be made, and that it can be defined with each board what can really be achieved with each organization in march with certainty and security towards this place.
Con certeza y seguridad hacia ese lugar.
Mientras tanto, otro paso en la búsqueda de la pacificación del país.
Meanwhile, another step in the search for peace in the country was taken in the city of Bogotá, where more than 150 national and international social organizations held a Congress for peace, seeking common ground to find a political solution to the current social and armed conflict and to promote the creation of a social movement for peace, urging both the government and the ELN insurgency to return to the dialogue table, in addition to providing security and protection guarantees for the civilian population and respect for international humanitarian law.
Muy importante que nos hayamos reunido organizaciones constructoras.
It is very important that we have gathered together peace-building organizations and that we have decided to coordinate ourselves better in order to surround the construction of peace.
Mejor para rodear la construcción de la paz, hemos decidido que la paz va a ser.
We have decided that peace will be our candidate in the 2026 elections, so we are all ready to be in the campaign.
Nos aprestamos a estar en campaña, a incidir desde la paz.
To influence from peace so that the tables that are in difficulties or that have broken down can be retaken again, and those that still exist, to surround and accompany them.
Y aquellas que todavía existen, pues rodearlas, acompañarlas.
Ante la violencia que sigue golpeando a las poblaciones
In the
más
face of the violence that continues to strike the most vulnerable population, civil society does not tire of organizing itself, calling the attention of the armed actors and the state to find a comprehensive and dialogue-based solution to the difficulties surrounding peace in the country.
Hernán Darío Tobar Gaitán, Telesur, Bogotá, Colombia.
And in Bolivia, President Luis Arce rejected the unilateral increase in tariffs imposed by the U.S. government and warned that such measures could lead to an international recession. Our correspondent Freddy Morales with the details.
Según analistas, el aumento de 10% de aranceles.
According to analysts, the 10% tariff increase imposed by the U.S. government on Bolivia will not cause major damage due to the current low level of exports.
2%, of which we are talking about $208 million, of which minerals and food are the strongest. In terms of minerals, you can look for other markets such as China, Europe. In the topic of tropicalized quinoa, you can look for alternative markets such as the European market or the Asian market.
Incluso se afirma que el aumento
It is even claimed that the general increase in tariffs imposed by that government may affect it internally.
We are seeing a Mexico and a Canada that have started to stop exporting such basic things as oil. Mexico stopped exporting 1.4 million barrels of oil and Canada 4 million barrels of oil. Texas is at 50% refining because Mexican oil is not arriving.
Meanwhile, the Bolivian government rejected the 10% tariff increase imposed on Bolivian exports.
We totally reject the imposition of tariffs that have no technical study behind them. It is a purely political decision that affects many countries. What we, in the national government, have done is to open new markets.
Se está abriendo el mercado de Chile para la exportación de carne y leche, como lo habíamos mencionado.
We are opening the Chilean market for the export of meat and milk. We have opened the markets of the BRICS countries for Bolivia. We are in the process of completing all the procedures to fully join Mercosur.
De hacer todos los trámites para incorporarnos plenamente al Mercosur.
El presidente Arce advirtió que el aumento general.
President Arce warned that the general increase in tariffs decided by the United States could have negative repercussions at the international level.
Es muy probable que luego vaya a
It is very likely that this type of tariffs will have worldwide consequences. In other words, one could even expect a worldwide recession because of everything that is being done by the United States in an attempt to maintain its economic leadership in the face of an emerging bloc that is clearly demonstrating its potential.
Que claramente está demostrando su potencialidad.
Según el Instituto de Comercio Internacional,
according to the International Trade Institute, last year, 263 Bolivian products were exported to the United States for a value of $224 million. The main ones are tin, chestnuts, and quinoa. But this country's purchases of product from the United States are more than twice what it exports. Purchases reached $781 million.
Las compras llegan a los 781 millones de dólares. Freddy Morales, Telesur, Bolivia.
And on Tuesday, 33 foreign ministers and diplomatic representatives of CELAC member countries fine-tuned the documents to be approved during Wednesday's 9th Head of State Summit. The summit will tackle issues such as the migratory crisis, climate change, education, and regional integration. The meeting represents a crucial step towards the 9th CELAC Summit, where the 33 member nations will define the strategic guidelines to consolidate the future of the region. Honduran Foreign Minister Eduardo Enrique Reina said that one of the main achievements of its national pro-tempore presidency under the leadership of President Xiomara Castro is to have preserved unity within CELAC in spite of existing ideological differences. And in Brazil, the World Conference Dilemmas of Humanity continues for the second day. Sao Paulo hosts one of the most significant meetings on the progressive spectrum from April 7th to the 10th. The meeting aims to promote an in-depth debate on the global crisis caused by capitalism and neoliberalism. The event, which brings together more than 70 intellectuals, political leaders, and activists from different parts of the world, seeks to promote solutions to extreme poverty, social inequalities, and the environmental crisis in a framework of joint cooperation and environmentally friendly. And Venezuela commemorated Monday the 222nd birth anniversary of Flora Tristan, founder of socialist feminism. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro commemorated the birth anniversary of the leader and highlighted her revolutionary commitment. Flora Tristan was born on April 7, 1803 in Paris and died on November 14, 1844 in Bordeaux. Among her most outstanding works are Pilgrimage of an Outcast, a selection of letters, a compilation of letters of the liberator Simon Bolivar, trade union, as well as two other books in favor of divorce. Tristan was a declared defender of the rights and liberties of the working class, as well as a precursor of the feminist movement. The president of Venezuela narrated his denunciation of the economic and commercial war initiated by the United States government while condemning Washington's imposition of trade sanctions against the peoples of the world. During his broadcast, Con Maduro Más, President Maduro described the new tariff policies implemented by Donald Trump's administration as an economic nuclear